is more to try to do a roundtable, especially with the writers. This year, when numbers change, when the numbers change from, we had the 900 last year, and our writers track grew, so we're like, okay, well, we'll leave the table, the setup the way it was, and then you guys just grew more on us.
Sorry.
No, we appreciate it, really, we do. That's going to be addressed on the layouts. I still want to try to keep your roundtable discussion type of feel, but yeah, we're going to have to start doing changing the seating a lot.
Don't get me wrong, it's a great idea. I love it. It's just there wasn't enough seating.
Hi, I'm Cal Thayer. I wanted to, I was actually going to say the same thing about the typeface in the con book, that, typefaces are an important stylistic choice, but, the main thing going into that choice is you're trying to convey some information. What I wanted to add was that also applies to the badges. I could not read anybody's badge this year. And it's a beautiful layout, and, I'm really impressed by it. And, I can see exactly what you're trying to make it look like, but I can't read it. Might want to suggest you go with something much simpler in the future.
A little function before form. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'll address that one. That was exactly the same thing as he had. We looked at the badge like this, and it looked great. And then when I got to the con, I went, oh, bugger.
Thanks for the comment, though. None of us do this for a living, as I said. Well, some of us do a little bit of it, but it's an all-volunteer thing, and we're doing the best we can, and that's why we have this session, is that feedback reminds us, oh yeah, we got to do things like that.
Well, I like being able to kind of basically snipe the live auctions items for relatively cheap. I would hope that, we could try to bring a bigger profile to that auction. It just felt like it was kind of always been a slow turnout last year. It always been maybe just a handful of people, and maybe we could push it down to later in the day so that more people would be able to take, more people would be able to partake in the auction because they'd be more awake in the 10 in the morning. I would think that Sunday morning would be a bad time for trying to attract people to, especially when we're trying to support a charity during this event as well. It just doesn't look like a good showing the last 2 years, this year and last.
Yeah, Ravenwood here is our art show lead last year. And he said one of the reasons that we close a little earlier is just to give us time and do the art auction a little earlier, is to give us time to actually close out the auction, get everything processed and sent out. So that's one of the constraints that we have to deal with. But your point's well taken. I know I wasn't awake for the art show this morning.
One thing I wanted to add about the badge type font thing. Another reason it's hard to read it is the font size. Last year, the size is massive enough to see it across the room. And this year it's just like, you have to squint and be right in their face with it. But yeah, I just want to add the size as well as the font.
Well, I hope our theme next year isn't like secret codes, or it's really going to
And actually about the font, the size.
How many read binary?
That's right. Everything's in binary.
Read the badges next year.
Just about the size is the size actually changes depending on the length of your name, so it fits. Yeah. If you had a one character speak.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one last thing. I know that the staff in the game room were especially awesome this year. There were a lot more games than last year, I noticed, and the tournaments were put together really well. And the book bags were checked in and checked out quickly and efficiently. I especially want to say Crazy Bob did an awesome job organizing the tournaments. And I hope, and he's on the staff next year to do the same thing. And my degree in psychology doesn't really help, but I can bring games, I can bring systems, whatever else you guys could need.
Can we sign you to Bob?
We'll have you work for Bob next year.
All right, I can be his minion.
Well, Bob did the Nerf gun.
Badge
one.
number.
And yeah, I know he wants to do it next year. And we'll see if we have a larger space for.
13, 16. Shush you.
The game, I'll also comment on the point of the gaming department. They've already told me that next year we need to have a room for electronic gaming and we need to have room for tabletop gaming, which need to be separate from each other, which needs to be separate from the hangar. Yeah, it's.
You actually reminded me though too. Extreme props on the new, using the new hangar for the Nerf Wars. It's completely massive, and I got nothing but good. Like I didn't actually go to it, but I heard nothing but good things about it. As well as another props for the lighting. After the opening ceremonies, I couldn't see blue for like 2 hours, but it was awesome.
Okay, I have some serious kudos for you guys. Thank you very much for opening the hangar. Like you said, it is just a huge resource for everybody. I really hope we have it or something like it every year. One thing that a lot of times people don't think about is that even though the furry fandom is a pretty visual group of people, there are some of us who are primarily musicians. And having access to that piano this year really made all the difference in the world. Because especially when it's your primary creative outlet. So wherever we go and however we set things up, if most properties this size have a piano or two, it'd be nice if you could just kind of ask the hotel, make sure this is available, even if there's going to be a function in that room. Maybe you could move it out to where people can play it and enjoy it. Because this year it was just wonderful to be able to use that.
Thanks.
Hey there, this is Flipper. First of all, great con, glad to see it's growing, glad to see it's no longer the way small con that nobody's going to go to. And you guys basically did an excellent job. A minor thing, after the Fursuit parade, the Fursuit lounge gets incredibly crowded. Walking around with big floppy feet is really dangerous. If you just had like somebody in there doing like water and Gatorade service, you would probably prevent a couple of trips and falls over fursuiters sprawled out on the floor. It doesn't really cost much. You just have to find somebody that's not in the parade, run some cups around the room. Other than that, I think there was sufficient space. Another one, I think I did mention this to Gene during one of the panels, some of the events here are charged for, and I think that's great because you can have as much or as little con as you want, but there doesn't seem to be a formalized policy as to what do you do if you buy the ticket and then 2 or 3 months later when the final schedule is published, there's an event that conflicts or your flight conflicts or whatever, and then you go, okay, now what do I do? Because I bought the ticket and, you know, the ice cream social isn't until 2 p.m. on Sunday, and there are people that fly out at 11. So if you bought the ticket to the social, you wouldn't find out until you get to the con, oh, it's Sunday afternoon, well, here's $5, light a match. The last thing, and this one's a little more serious, there's a big disconnect going on between the hotel and the con, and I don't seem to be able to get it resolved. I brought my bag downstairs to the bell desk, my bed luggage, which is 2 fursuits, you know, that I bring as volunteer entertainment for the con. And the hotel says, oh, we don't have any space to check them. Take them down to this panel room, which is right next to one of our panel rooms. I go in there and there's a bunch of luggage, so I drop it off, but there's no people. So I go back to the bell desk, and I'm like, there's nobody in that room. And they said, yeah, we don't have anywhere to check it. We're just telling people to drop it there. So I go back with the second trip of my luggage, and the door's now locked.
Pause, what?
Yeah. Pardon?
They're just telling you to drop it in a room?
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't pre-planned or discussed with the staff at all.
Yeah, as one of the head of the hotel team here, and the hotel liaison who just walked in, who will tell about it. We had no idea that that was happening until you just said it.
Well, I went to ConOps immediately and said, or well, what happens, I went to drop it off and there was a staffer, I don't remember his name. He called ConOps on his radio because the door was now locked. ConOps said, have Keith come, or have Flipper come upstairs. So I go from the second floor up to the fourth floor with half my luggage, and they go, okay, so you need need access to what room? I'm like, the hotel told me to go to this room. The door is not locked. Oh, you go down to the bell desk. So they sent me from the second floor to the fourth floor, or ConOps sent me from the second floor to the fourth floor to tell me to go back to the second floor to go to the hotel, who then said, yeah, we'll get somebody to unlock, or call security, they'll unlock the door for you. And it's, I went to the con like you guys asked to try and get some resolution. I got a lot of blank stares and a lot of redirects.
Yeah, that's
Well, I'm
something
pretty
that
sure
was
with the ops side of that, it was just the fact that it was sort of a blind side for us too.
Okay.
So they were just doing their best. To address the other issue that you had with the tickets, one of the things I was going to try to do this year with the tickets was get the meal menu right away and get the dates and times right away. So when you're in the registration system, you can click on it. It'll pop up a little window and tell you when it is and what it is. And then maybe that'll be... I was also thinking maybe a little picture of the t-shirt design as soon as we get it up. So does everybody think that's a good idea?
I love
Okay,
the
good.
store. I love being able to check out everything. You get a whole bag and
That's
run
cool.
around the hotel. So I really like what you do.
All right, my name is. My name is Dennis. My only complaint is discongruity within hotel staff as far as registering for my hotel room. I got here pretty early on Friday, relatively early on Friday to get checked in here. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, namely I lost my debit card twice in 1 month like a complete schmuck. I'm currently carrying a regular temporary ATM card, forcing me to pay cash for my hotel room. One clerk at the reg desk did tell me that I needed to leave a $75 cash deposit. One clerk was fine with me just not leaving a deposit at all, save for the $1.08 that they could not make change for the cash that I had to pay. Little concerned about that. There was no alert that there. Granted, I'm grateful that it was not $500 like other conventions and other hotels, but I was not made aware that there would be a $75 deposit per cash payment on rooms. This never came up really.
And I was told that was per night.
Another gentleman over here says he was told this was per night. Hold that thought before your response, trap up. All right, trap up.
So I don't know if you would want to address this, but certainly it's something that doesn't typically creep up on you until after you arrive at the event, and then they start springing this on this, and then people like you come to us and we say that, and we go back to them and say, no, we are not doing that, or you can't do that. And so certainly we can talk to our hotel next year and say, this happened last year. We want to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. And then yes, something else.
Also the point that the charges you'll like for next year, you'll watch the hotel webpage section of it, because we're going to lay out those charges. The hotel has already sent me the layout of, you reserve a room for 2 nights. There's this incidental charge. They're not going to waive it because, if the room's trashed, they've got to get their money somehow. But it is credited back to your credit or your debit or credit cards. Please never pay with debit, because the debit, it takes it out, it puts a hold on it immediately. And then when you go to use your debit card, like across the street or something, they're like, oh, you have no funds available. And you're like, I know I have $400 in there. Well, I know for me, for 5 days, it was $375 on my card for 2 rooms. Yeah, that dang tickle. But watch the hotel webpage. You're going to see, we will have a breakdown of, when you check in, you're going to be paying this much a night. Here's the tax, here's what's going to be held. So you'll have all that information on our webpage, on the hotel section of the webpage.